Hello my beauties! For those who don't know, I am kind of like a big astrology girly, even though I'm not an astrologer myself, but I have been doing some research on astrology and I've been into astrology for the past 4 years now. I've always been into astrology, but I feel like I started to go more in depth in astrology during the pandemic. I started to learn more about astrology and especially about my birth chart and all the 12 zodiac signs, and I've always used astrology in my favor and also tried to analyze what is happening like in the cosmos, what is happening with the planets. A lot of you are familiar with, like, especially as a woman, our menstrual cycle can be synced with the moon and it's all interconnected. And if you are someone that believes that the planets and the stars and the moon can affect us in any way, then astrology is definitely something that you should look into. Astrology can be a really good tool for you to try to understand yourself better, but also understanding the path that is more aligned with who you are and even your purpose and everything. You can find everything in your birth chart. A lot of people, they don't have a lot of knowledge when it comes to astrology. They think that the only thing that they are is their sun sign, which your sun sign is definitely a very important factor in your birth chart overall. But your birth chart, there is so much into your birth chart that actually explains a lot about who you are, how you act, and where you're meant to be, your emotions and all of that. I definitely have been very fascinated with astrology once you start to understand a little bit more in depth on the planets, the houses, and where are they located in your birth chart. It's definitely really interesting to see how you resonate with your birth chart, and of course it's all up to you in the end of the day. I think that astrology can be a really good tool to understand yourself more in depth. Maybe you're trying to find a career path, maybe you feel like you are not quite sure where you want to go. I really love to read my birth chart every now and then. Every single person has their birth chart. Again, just a disclaimer, this is just like a fun video to talk a little bit about astrology, but I'm definitely not an astrologer. It's definitely a conversation starter for me. I love to ask their sun sign when they were born, and sometimes like they know their top 3, your sun, moon, and risings. In order to have your birth chart, you need to know the date that you were born, the city, and the time, the exact time. I just love to read my birth chart, but also understand other people's birth chart. What is astrology? Astrology is the study of how the positions of the stars and planets are believed to affect human lives. The first organized astrological system appeared in the old Babylonian period more than 2,000 years ago. In astrology, people are assigned a specific sign based on their date of birth. These are also referred to as zodiac signs. The zodiac being a belt of the sky where the paths of the sun, moon, and planets are said to move. It is divided into 12 constellations, each representing roughly a month's time, with the year beginning at the northern hemisphere spring equinox. We have basically 12 zodiac signs. We have Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. You can see which one of them starts and ends for each zodiac sign. According to space.com, the ancient Babylonians created the zodiac by dividing the sky into 12 sections, each named after the largest constellation it contained. The zodiac calendar both tracked time and provided predictions. The Babylonians observed that the movement of planets, called transits, corresponded with both auspicious events and misfortunes on Earth. The Romans adopted the zodiac at the dawn of the 1st century, expanding the roles of the stars and planets through mythology. It was at the intersection of meticulous observation and epic folklore that astrology was born. I just wanted to read a little bit about how astrology originated. I do think it's very interesting to look back at Babylonians in ancient times and how humans, they've been stargazing since ever, especially back in the day. Like, we didn't used to have all this technology, even lights on the streets in big cities, so the stars used to be way more visible in the sky. I think it's a very natural instinct for humans to stargaze and wonder like what is out there and how the moon affects us, how the stars affects us in some way. As a very spiritual person as well, I do believe that everything is just perfectly aligned. I think that most people, they know their sun sign, but then they don't know anything else. I have multiple astrology apps on my phone. Charts and CoStar. Both of them are really good if you know the exact time that you were born. They explain everything for you. So they explain all the planets. You can see your rising sign, you can see your moon, all of the placements for all of your planets. They also show you the house that your planet is located, so that goes even more in depth on your birth chart. For those who are wondering what a birth chart is, a birth chart is what determines your placements in signs, planets, asteroids, etc. Birth, we are all born with a magical chart that defines who we are astrologically. Like I said before, we have the 12 zodiac signs, and then we have the elements for those zodiac signs. So we have 4 elements, which is fire, water, air, earth. Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius are a part of the fire sign. Capricorn, Virgo, and Taurus are a part of the earth signs. Pisces, Scorpio, and Cancer are a part of the water signs. Aquarius, Libra, and Gemini are part of the air signs. I am an Aquarius with an Aries moon and a Scorpio rising. But when I look at my top 3, I can already understand a lot about myself, even with my top 3. My moon in Aries definitely makes a lot of sense, like why I feel a certain way, why I want to do things a certain way. My sun in Aquarius also, I'm definitely the alien of the zodiac, so in a lot of ways I do feel like I'm different than other people. I'm unique in my own way. And then my Scorpio rising, it's a water sign. It's known to be intimidating in a way, mysterious. Sometimes people might be like intimidated by how I show up in certain places because of my aura as a Scorpio, and they are very intense, they're very intentional with what they do, and they feel very deeply. Knowing the elements of each zodiac sign is also really important. It can actually help you to know based how the elements act in nature. When you think about water, how is water in nature? When you think about earth, like earth is grounded, water is like flow, its emotions is like crying and feeling. Air is more about intellect, is more about being more detached from the ground. And then fire, which is very intense energy. Sometimes it can be aggressive, but also very warm, very loyal. When you think about the elements and you associate them with the zodiac sign, you can start to understand your birth chart a little bit better once you also know the elements. The inner planets are Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. And then the outer planets are Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Other aspects, we have our ascendant or our rising sign, and then we also have our midheaven. Let's go through what each planet represents in your birth chart. The sun is our ego. We revolve around the sun, just as the planets do. The sun is our basic identity, who we are at our core. It gives us vitality and light in the darkness. The sun shows us who we are learning to be, who we are becoming, and who we truly are. The sun is our purpose, our path, where we put our energy in. The sun tells us how we leave our mark on the world. Our sun is the ego, is who you are at your core and who you truly identify yourself as. Sun sign is basically the sign that if you know the day that you were born, then you know your sun sign. Like most people know their sun sign. I was born on January 23rd, so I'm an Aquarius. The moon represents our dark emotional selves. It's how we display comfort, how we display emotions, and who we are when we are alone. It's our instincts, how we react to situations, our sense of security. The moon is linked to the mother and child. It represents our inner mother and our inner child. The moon shows us how we protect ourselves. The moon is the mediator of both our inner and outer world. Some people find their moon sign best represents their personality. So the moon is also a very important aspect of your chart. You can definitely feel like you might be even more your moon sign at times than your sun sign, because the moon is related to our emotions and our instincts, how we react. A lot of who we are is also the moon. When you know your moon sign, you can also understand a lot about your emotions and how you feel and your instincts. Because I have a moon in Aries, I'm definitely very passionate about things. I'm definitely very impulsive at times with my emotions, but I definitely have that sense of being independent. Aries is a very independent sign, just as Aquarius. So having Aquarius and Aries in my top 3 just means that I definitely need and crave independence in my life, and I'm overall a very independent person. Even with my career as like what I want to pursue in my life, I definitely want to be my own boss. I definitely want to work for myself. Your moon is basically your instincts and your inner child, and also your relationship with your mom. When I'm really passionate about something, I feel it like very deeply, very passionate, and I have to express that. Mercury is the planet that shows us how we communicate. It represents our day-to-day expression. We learn to understand how we work in groups, break down problems, process information through Mercury. Mercury rules how we approach others, exchange ideas, how we get our point across. Mercury is a predominant planet in our chart. It has an intense effect on who we are in our everyday life. Mercury is definitely a very important planet as well. When I think about Mercury, I think about our intellect, how we process ideas, how we think, and also how we communicate. Depending on the placement of your Mercury, it might make a lot of sense if you like struggle to communicate. Mercury goes into retrograde a lot throughout the year. Venus, the planet of love. Venus rules what we value, our sentiments, our love language. We learn about what our taste is, what our pleasures in life are, our artistic values. Anything and everything beautiful is within Venus. Venus rules the attachment to others and what kind of love we look for in a person. Venus also shows us what we spend our money on, the luxuries we look for, what we treat ourselves with. When I think about Venus, I think about relationships, love, artistic vision, and beauty. Is also ruled by Libra and Taurus. Venus is how we show affection to other people. Depending on your Venus placement, that's how you can tell how you show love to other people and how you are in your relationship, and what kind of things do you look in a relationship. What is your preferences? What is your love language? Mars is the ruler of our instincts, our action, our sex, and our aggression. Our sexual desires come under Mars. It rules our body attraction and sexual expression. This is the planet of action. Our will and motivation are from Mars. Mars is the push to get out of bed, the push to finish that project, the push to be active, our drive in everyday life. This planet also shows where our impulses are, our aggressions, and where we can be forceful. When I think about Mars, I just think about the planet of action. That's the first thing that I think about, is like, how do you act in life? It's like a fiery, the red planet. Mars is ruled by Aries, so how you articulate yourself when it comes to arguments. Depending on your Mars placement in your birth chart, you can see how you are when it comes to setting boundaries. If you have a really strong placement in your Mars, like if you have an Aries Mars, or any of the fire placements, I guess might be a good placement for Mars, you definitely have like a very good drive for life. You probably don't tend to procrastinate as much, and you take action when you need to take action. You're very like action driven. I have Mars in Libra, so it's literally the opposite of Aries. When I take action into something, it's definitely more like passive. Mars and Libra tend to be more passive aggressive when it comes to arguing or setting boundaries and all that. Like, it's very hard for them to set boundaries. They don't want to argue, and I'm definitely that person. I avoid arguments at all costs, That's one of the placements where I have to work on. But at the same time, when I think about Libra, I just think about like when I do take action, I want to make sure that everything is like perfect in my head and it's like aesthetically pleasing, because Libra is ruled by beauty. If I'm going to take action, I have to take action looking pretty and looking put together. I'm gonna do what I have to do, but I'm gonna look pretty while doing it. And then we have Jupiter. I love Jupiter. Honestly, Jupiter, one of my favorite planets. Jupiter is the first of the social planets. Jupiter is the ruler of broader purpose, freedom, reach, and gratitude. Jupiter has been associated with mental and spiritual growth. Jupiter displays our generosity and tolerance. Jupiter holds our wisdom and understanding. It's the planet that shows us how to expand and grow with deeper understanding. When I think about Jupiter, I think about the planet of expansion and the planet of luck and abundance. The placement of your Jupiter, if you focus on your Jupiter placement in your chart, then that most likely will expand for you and it comes to you more easily, and it's the area of your life that you are lucky and that will come to you kind of effortlessly. For me, I have my Jupiter in Pisces, which is creativity, is spirituality, and I focus on those areas of my life. I feel like it's way more than that, but I'm just scratching the surface. When you focus on the areas of where your Jupiter placement is at, that is where most likely you have a lot of luck in. If you take action towards those things, you most likely will be very successful in that area. You will most likely attract a lot of luck, a lot of abundance. You also have to know all of the houses for all of the planets as well. Me having Jupiter in Pisces on the 5th house, which is ruled by Leo, it's also about self-expression, being on camera, and pleasure, and child. 5th house is ruled by that. It definitely makes a lot of sense why I personally enjoy doing what I'm doing, like making videos, and I feel like spirituality is a huge thing for me. I've always been very drawn into the mystical part of the universe, the world. When I think about focusing in that area, I definitely feel the success, I feel abundant, I definitely feel way more fulfilled, way happier, I feel lucky, I feel abundant, I feel all those positive feelings when I'm focusing on that specific thing that I'm meant to do. Especially with your Jupiter placement, you can definitely know what area of your life you should be focusing on so that it can grow and expand and bring you a lot of abundance. Saturn is one of the placements where everyone is so terrified about. It's like the parent planet of the zodiac, I might say. Saturn is the planet of responsibility, limitations, and restriction. Saturn brings structure and meaning to our world. Saturn is the responsible planet. It reminds us of the realities we face. Our self-control and commitment are brought to us through Saturn. It's the planet that is associated with the father authority. It brings discipline, rules, regulations, and maturity. Saturn brings us lessons to help us grow in life. Saturn is definitely the planet of responsibility, is the planet that will hold you accountable, is the planet that will force you to grow in a certain area of your life. And if you don't learn from the lessons that Saturn is trying to bring you, then Saturn will kind of like haunt you in a way until you learn the lesson. I feel like a lot of people are familiar with the Saturn return and how that happens around every 29 years. Right when you're about to hit your 30s, that's when Saturn returns at the exact degree and the exact sign as it was on your birth chart. I've definitely seen a lot of people have different types of experience with Saturn return. Saturn is coming back to remind you of the lessons that you need to learn, and if you learned anything in the past 30 years and what are you going to do for the next 30 years of your life. Is the father figure of the planets. So people are a little bit scared of Saturn. So Saturn is just trying to show you the parts of your life that you need to grow and focus on, and probably also the parts of your life that you will struggle with the most, and also the parts of your life where you need to be disciplined. When you know the placement of your Saturn, you will know more about the areas of your life where you struggle with. So for me, I have my Saturn in Aries. I feel like Saturn in Aries has affected me in the way of standing up for myself. Really, it's also about like self-love, because Aries, it's all about the self. So what are you learning with yourself, and are you respecting yourself, like holding yourself accountable for the things that you told yourself that you were going to do? Let's go to Uranus or Uranus. Uranus is associated with the heavens and skies. It's known to show us progression and enlightenment. Uranus celebrates individuality. It brings uniqueness and discovery. With this planet, it also shows us our innovative side. It rules rebellion, where you'll stir things up, put a new spin on things. Uranus is that part of us where we refuse to blend in. Uranus is definitely ruled by Aquarius. This is definitely the description of an Aquarius. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are the outer planets, and they are a generational planet because they take longer to rotate the sun. A lot of people that were born on the same generation as you, they'll have the same placements as you. When you think about Gen Z, you think about a generation that is, we're just like, everything's a joke for us, because why will we take anything serious, you know? We also question a lot of things. Maybe the next generation, when we enter the age of Aquarius, then I feel like things will actually change a lot once we enter the age of Aquarius. Uranus is basically the planet of rebellion, is ruled by Aquarius, and where you have that placement in your chart, where are the parts of yourself that you're more unique, how you express yourself that way, what kind of area in your life you tend to be more rebellious towards. Let's go to Neptune. Neptune rules our spirituality, our dream, our illusions. Neptune is associated with intuition and spiritual enlightenment. Neptune is our psychic energy, our daydreaming planet. Neptune rules the invisible realm we all visit in our dreams. It dissolves boundaries. It gives us a poetic outlook on life. It helps us to see the beauty in every way possible. Our imagination takes over. When I think about Neptune, I think about Pisces. It's ruled by Pisces. It's definitely the spiritual realm. What kind of connection do you have with the spiritual realm? When you know that placement is all about the dreams, subconscious mind, it's the imagination. You see the placement in your chart, you can definitely see how you are when it comes to spirituality. Knowing the houses of where those placements takes over in your planets, that's also important as well. And then we have Pluto, which is another outer planet, the generational planet. Pluto is the underworld. It's the planet that shows us below the surface. It's associated with renewal and rebirth, spiritual rebirth, beginnings and endings. Pluto shows us where we see power, struggles, and issues of control. Pluto is a planet you share among a generation. Pluto influences us to find a deeper meaning, a willingness to explore the depths of the ocean. It's where we seek transformation and change. Pluto is ruled by Scorpio. When I think about Pluto, I think about death and rebirth and transformation. Once a generation enters a different sign, that's when we know something's gonna change. Something in our society, it's gonna change. So many people have been talking about the age of Aquarius, and the age of Aquarius is basically when Pluto enters Aquarius. Pluto is about to enter Aquarius, I think in November this year, and it's gonna last for like the next 20 years. So it's definitely gonna be a new generation of people coming in with Pluto and Aquarius. And when you think about Aquarius, you think about rebellion, you think about uniqueness, freedom of expression, humanitarian. It's not about following the rules at all. I have a Pluto in Sagittarius, and Gen Zers, or Gen Z, most of them have Pluto in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is the sign, also a very free sign. Let's just talk about the rising sign, or your ascendant. Your ascendant rising sign is how you present yourself to others. It is your mask, your approach to life. Combines your sun and moon, what you want and what you need. When people first meet you, they'll see you as your ascendant sign. It describes how we take on life and how we identify our experiences. Our ascendant sign shows us how we project our goals and make meaning to our life. It's like your mask is how people perceive you when they first see you. It's also the kind of energy that people feel from you when they first see you. Also, it rules like how you look, like your physical features. When I see like the rising sign, I definitely see more how you look, like how you physically look. Me as a Scorpio rising, people with Scorpio risings, their eyes are very captivating. They tend to have like this magnetic energy to them. They're also very intense with life and emotion. People might be intimidated by that because there are a lot of people that are not used to intensity. They're not used to depth. Also, Scorpio is about death and rebirth. Scorpio is not trying to hide that. Scorpio tends to be more mysterious as well. Astrology can definitely be a really good tool to understanding yourself, to understanding where you want to go in life. Another very important placement in your birth chart that it's very worth mentioning, it's your midheaven. Your midheaven is basically the top placement of your chart. Your midheaven sign, it's all about your career and life path. It shows you where you want to make it in life, what mark you want to leave in this planet. This sign represents our visible achievements in the eye of society. It's one of the most public and important signs in your chart, and it shows you the goals you want to achieve in life, where you want to be in your career, aspirations, creative outlook, and your life goal. If you feel like you're a little bit lost, maybe looking at your midheaven can really be helpful for you to understand better where you want to go in life, what kind of goals do you have, what path is meant for you. I had no clue what a midheaven was. I had no clue what a lot of my birth chart meant. But once I knew the planets, once I knew the houses, once I knew the elements of each zodiac sign, especially once I knew my midheaven, which is your career, it's when everything made sense for me. We're already born with the sense of purpose that we're supposed to do in life. I think that we're all born with that, but we just forget. Once we start living life and we start to live in society, maybe it's family expectations, it's society expectation, you have to really insist in what you are and believe in what you want to create. We all have that. We all have that sense of purpose, and you can even try to remember yourself as a child. I think it's until the age of 7. It's when kids tend to be more in contact with the spiritual world, but also with who they are as a soul, like as the core of their being and their essence. Trying to remember what you used to do or what you used to love to do as a kid is a really good way of also trying to access the thing that comes naturally to you. My midheaven is in Leo, in the 10th house. Leos are known for being the entertainers of the zodiac. It's ruled by the sun, so people say that you're like meant to be famous in a way. You're meant to be in the public eye, and you're meant to be creative and just express yourself. And in the 10th house, which is the house of career, so for me, I'm definitely meant as my career to be working with the entertainment industry and just expressing myself in this way. Something that I've always noticed about myself, I always loved to dance. I always loved the idea of being a performer one day. I always loved the idea of talking with the camera and talking with people, and I always had that at a very young age. I always remember being that way, and once I saw my midheaven, I was like, oh my god, that makes total sense. Just think that overall your birth chart and astrology can be really helpful. People sometimes they take like personality tests as well, and I feel like that can be very helpful as well. Of course, like if there's something that you don't resonate with, then you don't have to take it. It's all about how you feel. But if it does make you feel better and if it does help you in any way, and I do think that astrology can be a really good tool for you to overall live a better life. Astrology has definitely helped me so much. You can see there's so many research on how very successful people, they're very into astrology. There's even a phrase, it's not millionaires that are into astrology, billionaires do. If you really believe in it, it's like there's no way that the moon doesn't affect us. Like If you think about the moon and how it affects the ocean and how it is connected with our menstrual cycle, everything is interconnected. We are connected with the universe, the stars and the planets, and the moon and the sun. We're all meant to be working together in order for all of us to grow and evolve. We're all the same thing. We're all one. We all came from the same source. Astrology has definitely helped me so much, and I really hope that this video can help you in some way for you to maybe look into astrology a little bit more. Maybe try to look into your birth chart a little bit more. Charts and CoStar are really good apps for you to download. They are free and you can put all of your information in there. If you know the time, the location, and the day that you were born, then you have everything in there. It's a really good way of connecting with yourself. Comment down below your sun sign, or if you know your top 3. I would love to read what your sun signs or what your top 3 are. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos to come, and I'll definitely see you in the next video. Bye!